A young man accidentally bears the responsibility for the armor that he randomly picked. Can he save his girlfriend when he realizes that he just became a part of something bigger that concerns the totality of humanity? Let's find out in the 1991 manga-based superhero film, The Guyver. Contrary to the belief of many, it was not God that created mankind but aliens instead. Upon discovering Earth, the aliens created mankind to be the ultimate organic weapon. Then, they planted special genes into the DNA of some people that allowed them to become a zoonoid, a super monster soldier that resembled different animals. When they awaken this certain gene, the humans with the said special gene can turn into a zoonoid at will. Thousands of years later, the Zolord, the leader of the zoonoids, has awakened and built Kronos Corporation to further improve the zoonoid technology as he plans to dominate the world. While doing so, they found a unit called Guyver, which is a bio-boosted armor that is powered by alien technology. In the hands of an ordinary alien, the unit is as simple as an ordinary armor or shield. However, if a human being happens to possess and wear the Guyver, he becomes exponentially stronger and more powerful as he, himself, becomes the Guyver. Yet, the Zolord cannot utilize it as the method on how to activate the unit's power remains a mystery. One night, a research scientist at Kronos Corporation named Dr. Tetsu Segawa realizes the danger of the Guyver if the Zolord learns how to activate its power, so he steals it and is currently on the run. But knowing that he cannot outrun the Zolord's men led by Lisker, Tetsu transfers the Guyver unit into a random box from his briefcase before continuing to run. Not long after, Lisker and his group of goons consisting of Stryker, Weber, and Ramsey catch up to the scientist. Tetsu warns them that the Guyver is dangerous in the wrong hands, but they do not care and proceed to take the briefcase from him. Not bothering to check if the unit is inside, they put the briefcase in their vehicle while Lisker convinces Tetsu to come back to Kronos, telling him that the Zolord will still give him another chance. However, Tetsu cannot bear the evilness of the corporation, so he transforms into a zoonoid, choosing to rather die fighting than go back to Kronos. As he transforms into a fish-like monster, Stryker volunteers to take him out, but Lisker says he will be the one to do it. Lisker transforms into a zoonoid as well and fights Tetsu. Unfortunately, Lisker gets the upper hand and overpowers the scientist, ending up mortally wounding Tetsu. After that, the four celebrate their victory while Tetsu is slowly transforming back to his human form as his life slowly slips away. A little later, at Kronos Corporation, Lisker takes the briefcase to Fulton Balkus, the current CEO of the company. He receives the package in a good mood, thinking that the unit is inside, but everything changes when he discovers that there's nothing inside but a busted toaster. Seeing this, even Lisker is shocked, but he immediately gets scared upon realizing that Fulton is enraged. Using his power, Fulton controls Lisker to slap, punch, and hurt himself, resulting in him begging that he will make things right. With that, Fulton stops controlling him and sends him back to find the unit. Elsewhere, in a dojo gym, a young man named Sean Barker gets distracted when his girlfriend, Mizuki Segawa, arrives. Shortly after, his instructor shows up and continues the class. Just then, Max Reed, who is a CIA agent, makes his appearance and looks for Mizuki, not knowing that he's already talking to her. With that, he asks her to talk in private, in which Max tells Mizuki the bad news that her father, Dr. Tetsu Segawa, was murdered. As it turns out, Tetsu was supposed to be meeting Max to surrender the Guyver to him, but her father didn't make it. And when he looked around, he saw Lisker and the others celebrating while Tetsu was dying. Hearing all this, Mizuki breaks down crying and Sean notices this, distracting him further from his class. Afterward, Max takes Mizuki to the scene of the crime, not knowing that Sean follows them and watches over them from afar. Mizuki cannot believe that someone murdered her father brutally, saying that Tetsu was a good person and he had no conflict with anybody. In turn, Max promises her that he will find the people who killed her father and bring them to justice. Their conversation is then interrupted by Colonel Castle, Max's superior officer in the CIA. The colonel is not happy that Max dragged him into this, thinking that it's just a waste of time and resources. But Max insists that he saw the killer this time and is confident that they are connected to Kronos Corporation. Still, Castle scolds him, telling him that he's just chasing the wrong people and warns him that he might be walking straight to his own death. At the same time, Sean stumbles upon the box where Tetsu hid the unit and discovers the Guyver. Some time later, when the police and media leave the place, Lisker and his band of goons begin searching for the unit. However, they cannot find the Guyver anywhere. At this time, Lisker goes back to tell Fulton the bad news. But before he hurts him again, Lisker immediately says that he knows a way to find the unit. According to him, Tetsu has a daughter, and he thinks that she knows where her father hid the Guyver. Speaking of Mizuki, she's currently at home and is accompanied by Max for a while. At this time, they are talking about the Guyver as Max states that Tetsu was supposed to give it to him. Hearing this, Mizuki asks what it is, signifying that she knows nothing about it, contrary to what Lisker thinks. According to Max, all he knows is that it's a powerful alien armor sort of thing. She then hears a knock, alerting Max. In turn, she calms him down, saying that it's fine because it's her home, so it's probably someone she knows. Taking precautions, Max hides behind the door while Mizuki opens it, revealing Scene at the doorstep. However, Scene sees Max hiding through the mirror and misunderstands the situation, causing him to storm out of Mizuki's apartment building. However, his motorcycle acts up on his way home, causing him to get stranded in an alley where he is approached by a suspicious man who says he wants to help him. But knowing that the man is not a good Samaritan, Scene tells him to get away. Yet, the man just calls his gang. One of them is his classmate from the dojo gym who keeps bullying him. Realizing that he's in trouble, Scene tries to fight his way out, but he is no match for the 5 guys in front of him. While they are beating him up, the Guyver slips out from his bag, and one of the gang members smashes his face on the unit. At this time, the Guyver sticks in his face and eventually wraps around Scene's body as if it's devouring him. And with that, Scene becomes Guyver himself, harnessing the strength and power of the unit. Using it, he easily beats and disposes of the gang until the last of them literally begs him for his life. Yet, when he finally sees himself in a mirror, he's shocked to see his appearance and tries to remove it but fails. Just as he thinks he cannot go back to normal, Scene screams in agony when the armor suddenly retracts back to his body, silencing him. The next day, Max and Castle go to Kronos Corporation to investigate Tetsu's death. However, Max is frustrated as he's noticing that Castle is going easy with Kronos in this case. In turn, Castle points out that they will not find anything about the company that will link them to the late scientist. Knowing that he will get nothing from his superior officer, he heads his way to investigate the case alone. Seeing this, Castle orders another CIA agent to tail Max wherever he goes. Meanwhile, Scene goes back to Mizuki's apartment and apologizes for his attitude last night. Luckily, Mizuki understands him and explains what truly happened to her. With that, the couple reconciles, but as they are about to kiss, Mizuki's friend shows up, interrupting them. Because of that, Scene heads out to get them some food. On his way, he comes across Stryker and Ramsey, who are posing to be workers. After a while, he gets back and comes across the two once again, but this time they're carrying a body bag. Thinking that it's just nothing, Scene continues to Mizuki's apartment, only to find it ransacked and her friend dead. Realizing what truly happened, he quickly runs back to Stryker and Ramsey. By good fortune, Max arrives just in time, so Scene takes the opportunity to attack the 2 men and alert Max that they're kidnapping Mizuki. Knowing this, Max helps the 2 escape until they end up in a warehouse. In there, they get cornered by Lisker's group, who all transform into their Zonoid form. Because of that, Scene, Mizuki, and Max do their best to hide themselves and keep quiet while the Zonoids are hunting them. But it doesn't last long before they are discovered, leaving the 2 men with no other choice but to fight in order to protect Mizuki. As expected, they are no match for the Zonoids as they are easily thrashed by them, and Mizuki is captured by Weber. To make matters worse, the agent that Castle ordered to follow Max brings another agent, and they also transform into Zonoids, revealing that they're actually working for Kronos Corporation as part of Lisker's group. Scene begs the Zonoids to let Mizuki go, but they just laugh at him. Yet, he manages to get their attention when he says that he has the Guyver. Hearing this, Lisker attempts to make a deal with him, saying that they will let Mizuki go in exchange for the unit. However, Scene points out that he cannot give them the Guyver because he is the Guyver now. With that, he attempts to transform, but he, unfortunately, fails, so Stryker just punches him. Seeing this, Mizuki pleads with them to stop, saying that Scene knows nothing about what they're looking for. Annoyed, Lisker hits her, injuring Scene and finally allowing him to transform into Guyver. Using it, he fights all the Zonoids, and he's now managing to put up a fight against them. However, just as it seems that he is winning, he accidentally headbutts Lisker, and he suddenly feels dizzy. It is then revealed that his weakness is found in the sphere on his forehead. Knowing this, the Zonoids start to target the sphere, weakening Scene in the process. Thinking quickly, he uses the blade in his arm to cut down Weber, who's holding Mizuki hostage. But due to the cloudiness in his mind, he is not sure if he missed it or not, confused if he also cuts Mizuki in the process. Seeing this, Scene is distraught and is only thinking of getting to her. Lisker, on the other hand, takes this opportunity to him down and forcefully pulls out the sphere on his forehead. As it turns out, Scene didn't miss, and Max manages to get to Mizuki, witnessing how Lisker killed Scene. Having killed the legendary Guyver, Lisker gets cocky and thinks that he's way stronger than the legend. With Scene out of the way, the Zonoids then take Mizuki and Max to the Kronos Corporation. After a while, Mizuki wakes up and finds Fulton being creepy over her. In turn, he tries to calm her down, saying that he was a friend of her father. Remembering what happened to Scene and noticing that Max is nowhere around her, Mizuki says she needs to call the police. But Fulton stops her, stating that everything has been taken care of. Instead, he wants her to tell him how Scene manages to activate and use the power of the Guyver. Without hearing any answer from the woman, Fulton takes Mizuki to the underground laboratory where he shows her their experiment on Zonoids. There, he explains to her the true origin of mankind, which are the ultimate biological weapon created by aliens. According to him, through different ages, the Zonoids were called many names such as werewolves, minotaurs, and vampires. In this sense, Fulton wants to awaken all the Zonoids and take control of the world, starting with putting them inside the government offices as world leaders. Taking advantage of the man's talkativeness, Mizuki asks what is a Guyver, to which Fulton says that it's a suit of armor that is powered by alien technology. During their research, they only find one Guyver, but no idea how to activate its power. In this sense, he asks again how Scene manifested its power, but Mizuki insists that she knows nothing about it. Pissed, he threatens to turn her into a Zonoid, which scares Mizaki even more, causing her to run. Yet, she just ends up in another part of the laboratory where Fulton introduces her to Dr. East, another scientist who was with her father for the experiment and study on Zonoid technology. Seeing her, East gets surprised and is about to talk about Tetsu. But upon seeing Fulton's warning look, East just shuts his mouth. Regardless, Mizaki notices these subtle signs and realizes that Fulton was the one who wanted her father dead. However, she cannot do anything about it in her current situation. At this time, East shows them the sphere from Guyver and says that it is still alive. According to him, it is actually regrowing and recreating itself from scratch. Seeing this, it gives hope to Mizuku that Scene can still be alive after all. On the other hand, Fulton states that because of this he has no use for Mizuki, so he wants her to undergo the same procedure as Max. It is then revealed that Max is currently under a procedure to awaken the special gene in his DNA that will allow him to turn into a Zonoid. Acting quickly, Mizuki hits Fulton down there and snatches the Guyver sphere from its containment module, threatening to destroy it. At this moment, everyone in the laboratory except Fulton transforms into Zonoids. Stryker then tries to get the sphere from her, but he accidentally swipes it straight into East's mouth. Lisker tries to get it out, but East feels something growing inside him. And to everyone's surprise, Guyver emerges from East's body. Seeing him, Mizuki confirms if it is indeed Scene, and he says yes, saying that he came back for her. Just then, Lisker approaches Scene full of confidence, saying that he can kill him again because he already killed him before. In turn, Scene states that he cannot ever kill him because he was rejected by Death himself. With that, their rematch begins with some of the Zonoids interfering from time to time. Yet, Scene can still manage to put up a good fight against all of them, eventually freeing Max while keeping the enemies at bay. Mizuki then helps Max and they find a way to escape while Scene keeps the other Zonoids busy. However, Ramsey catches up to the two, but Mizuki manages to electrocute him. Sheen sees that she is being chased, so he immediately comes to her rescue and takes down Ramsey. At this point, Scene begins to finish off the Zonoids one by one, but Lisker is really hard to kill. While this is happening, Mizuki and Max are once again being chased by a Zonoid. Luckily, the Zonoid is a T-Rex-like monster, so it has short arms. When it pins down Max, he manages to stop the Zonoid from reaching him. Mizuki, on the other hand, picks up a microscope and uses it to take down the Zonoid for good, saving Max in the process. Going back to Scene and Lisker, they are still fighting to the death, but Scene takes the upper hand as he wounds Lisker using his blade. And to take revenge for what he did to him, Scene breaks open Lisker's head until he dies. At this point, every Zonoid is now gone, and the three of them start to make their way out of the laboratory. However, the procedure done to Max is now just taking effect as he slowly transforms into a cockroach Zonoid. Yet, since the procedure was interrupted, it was not completed, causing him severe pain while transforming. Knowing that he will not make it out alive, Max tells Scene that he needs to do the right thing and take down Kronos Corporation and everyone behind it once and for all. Shortly after, Max succumbs to his death. Just then, Fulton shows up again and takes Mizuki hostage once more. Mizuki tells Scene that Fulton is the one who murdered her father. Hearing this, he orders Fulton to let Mizuki go, but he doesn't really care about her as he admires the Guyver in front of him. According to him, the Zonoids are just child's play compared to Guyver's power and strength. Wanting the power of the unit for himself, Fulton tries to make a deal with Scene that he will let go of Mizuki in exchange for the Guyver. However, Scene points out that he cannot just give it away because the Guyver is part of him now. Weirdly enough, Fulton lets go of Mizuki and taunts Scene, saying that he just lost their battle. Seeing an open spot, Scene quickly kicks Fulton away. But to his shock, he just transforms into the Zolord, a dragon-like zonoid. Laughing maniacally, the Zolord swears to get the power of the Guyver for himself. At this point, the two begin their battle. But due to the vast difference in their size, Scene cannot find a spot to attack. Because of that, he hides and waits for the right opportunity to strike the Zolord in its eye. Then he jumps above it to attack from behind its head, but the Zolord is still overpowering him. Unfortunately, Scene gets pinned once again and Fulton is about to get the sphere from his head. Yet, he still has a trick up his sleeves to defeat the Zolord. Focusing all his energy on his chest, Scene releases a blast to attack the Zolord, eventually causing an explosion that ultimately defeats the leader of the Zonoids. Finally, the battle is over and Mizuki has her proper reunion with her just got back from the dead boyfriend. At this time, the armor wears off and Scene goes back to normal but naked. Not minding their situation, the two share a passionate kiss. After that, Mizuki gives Scene a lab coat and they both make their way out of the laboratory. The movie ends with Castle and Stryker, who turns out to be still alive, plotting something against Mizuki and Scene, the Guyver. The Guyver is an underwhelming movie with lots of potential in terms of having better plotting and directing. Being based on a manga, you can already expect an over-the-top storyline and concept. Yet, the film is still lacking, but given the fact that this movie was released back in 1991, making a superhero or manga-based film at that time is very difficult. So the effort of this movie is still commendable.